Okay, so can you all see my slide and hear my voice clearly?
Yes, madam.
Yes.
Okay. Um, okay, so basically, these are the learning objectives of chapter 1, okay, which we are going to look at, discuss some biologically important chemical groups. Okay, so for this one, we are going to look at seven functional groups that are found in macromolecules. Okay, so they are found in water molecules. They are found in water molecule. You have OH and hydroxyl, and then they are found in proteins. Okay, so in the protein you have carboxyl group, you have the amino group, for example, and then in the monomer of nucleic acids. Okay, so um, you have the OH group. Okay, again. Okay, and then um, another macromolecule, you have the lipids. Okay, so in all that macromolecules, there will be functional groups present. Okay, so this functional group will determine the properties of that macromolecules or that molecule. Okay, and then number 2, explain the structure of water and describe the properties of water and its importance. So all of you know the structure of water molecule, which is H2O. Okay, you should know how to draw the molecule. And then for this one, we are going to look at the many properties of water and the importance of these properties of water. Okay. And then number 3, formation of macromolecules from monomers. Okay, so uh, macromolecules, there are four macromolecules, a major class of macromolecules. You have the carbohydrates, you have the lipid, you have the nucleic acids, and you have the proteins. For there are only three. Okay, there out of four. Okay, out of four, there are three macromolecules that are made up of monomers, and one is not consists of monomers. Okay, so kalau carbohydrate, the monomer, as you know, one example of monomer for carbohydrate is obviously glucose, and you have some more example of monomers that are involved in the formation of carbohydrates, such as, for example, you have fructose. Okay, fructose, galactose. Okay, you have ribose. Okay, so those are monomers for that falls under carbohydrate. Okay, and then second, you have the monomer for proteins. Okay, so as you know, the monomer for proteins is the amino acid. Okay, so although there is only one type of monomer for amino acids. Okay, which is for protein, which is amino acid, but there are about 20 to 21 different types of amino acids depending on the side chain. Okay, depending on the side chain of the amino acid. So nanti kita akan tengok, we are going to look at that these 20 or 21 different amino acids are classified based on the type of side chain that are present within that amino acid. Okay, so it can be acidic, it can be basic. Okay, it can be polar, non-polar. Okay, so depending on the type of amino acid, or depending on the side chain that are present in the amino acid, it will determine the function of that protein. Okay, and then number 4, describe the general structure of amino acids and group them based on their side chain. So as I said before, the amino acids, okay, you have to know the structure. You have to know how to draw the structure, okay, of the monomers. You have to know how to draw the structure of glucose. You have to know how to draw the structure of nucleotides. You have to know how to draw the structure of amino acids. Okay, so within that amino acid, you have at the end you have the amino group, and the other end you have the carboxyl group, and at the middle of that amino acid molecule, you have the side chain. Okay, so this side chain will determine the property and function of the protein. Okay, so so this one we are going to look at in detail when we reach to this part. And then number 5, describe the formation of dipeptide and polypeptide. This one is under still under proteins. Okay, so when you combine together two amino acid, it forms dipeptide, and when you add some more amino acid, it will form the polypeptide chain. Okay, so for protein, it has 4 levels of structure. Okay, you have the primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure, and also quaternary structure. Okay, and then number 6, discuss the classification of protein in terms of levels of organization, structure, composition, and function. So as I said before, there are 4 levels of protein structures. Okay, primary, secondary, tertiary, and also quaternary structure. So kalau the first level, which is primary structure, consists of straight chain of amino acids, okay, that are linked by peptide bonds. Okay, and then the secondary structure, it consists of helical or beta pleated sheets. Okay, and then the tertiary structure, if that secondary or tertiary structure falls into specific shape, okay, through the interaction between the side chain. Okay, so that one we are going to look at in detail. And then for quaternary structure, if you have a combination of several protein molecules in the secondary structure or tertiary structure that combines together, okay, to form a whole molecule of protein, functional protein. For example, you have the for quaternary structure, you have the hemoglobin. Okay, so hemoglobin, it consists of four, 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 um, four different types of protein molecules in the tertiary structure combines together. Okay, so in each subunit, it has the hem group. Okay, which is in the hem group, you have the ferrum, okay, to bind to the oxygen molecule. Okay, so basically one hemoglobin will bind to 4 molecule of oxygen molecule. Okay, oxygen molecule. So satu hemoglobin will bind to 4 oxygen molecule. Macam tu. Tapi one red blood cells will contain about 250,000, okay, hemoglobin molecule. So imagine in that one red blood cells, how many oxygen molecule it can carries. Okay. So number 7, describe the 4 groups of carbohydrates. Okay, so yang ini 4 groups ni, the monosaccharides, the disaccharides, and then you have the oligosaccharides, okay, and then you have the polysaccharides. Okay, polysaccharides such as you have the starch, okay, you have the glycogen, which are storage carbohydrates. So for starch, it is the storage carbohydrate that are found in plants. For glycogen, it is the storage carbohydrate that are found in animals. So usually they are stored in the liver. And then you have the cellulose, which is the component of plant cell wall. And then you have some more. Okay, so that one we are going to look at when we reach the carbohydrate subtopic. And then the next one, describe the synthesis of disaccharides and polysaccharides. So again, when you want to synthesize a disaccharide, you combine 2 monosaccharides together. For example, in order to produce maltose, it is between glucose, and there is a bond in between that we are going to look at the name of that bond. Okay, and then every time when you are going to combine monomers together to form polymers, it is through the reaction we call it as condensation. Okay, it is true. The reaction we call it as condensation, because each time when you combine together monomer, okay, a water molecule will be discarded. Okay, so that one we are going to look at later. And then number 9, describe the structure and function of starch, glycogen, and cellulose. Okay, so this one complex carbohydrate. Starch is the storage carbohydrate that are found in plants. So for example, you can find starch in potatoes, in rice. Okay, so when you eat potatoes, rice, okay, so it gives you energy because it is composed of many glucose molecules. Okay, and then glycogen. Okay, so glycogen is the storage carbohydrate that are found in animals, and usually they are stored in the liver. Okay, and then cellulose is the component of plant cell wall. And then number 10, state the types of lipids. So lipid is the macromolecules that is not composed of monomers. It does not have monomers. So this one you have to remember. Okay, kadang-kadang keluar dalam soalan exam kan, dia tanya dia boleh macam dalam soalan objektif. Okay, so you can ask which of the following macromolecule does not have monomers. Okay, so protein, carbohydrate, nucleic acid, lipid. So which one does not have monomers? It is lipid. Okay, so for lipid, they are categorized in there are several different types of lipid. You have the phospholipids, you have the steroids, you have the triglyceride, and then the last one you have the wax. Tapi wax we are not going to look at wax for your syllabus. So we are going to only look at triglycerides, steroids, and also lipids. Phospholipids. Okay. And then next one, describe the synthesis and structure of fats or triglycerides. So this one we are going to look at saturated fat, unsaturated fats, the component of triglycerides. Okay, the properties of what is the difference between saturated fats and also unsaturated fats. Where can you find saturated fats and unsaturated fats? Okay, so function of lipids. For this one, so for example, one type of lipid is phospholipids. So obviously, as you know, the most obvious place where you can find phospholipid is it is the component of plasma membrane. Okay, membranes. So any membrane. So the wall. The cell membrane or the plasma membrane or the membrane of organelles. Okay, such as for example, you have the nucleus. So the nucleus, it is organelle that has membrane. So the membrane of the nucleus is made up of also phospholipid. Same goes to other organelles such as mitochondria. Okay, or chloroplasts. Okay, or any other organelles that has membrane. So the membrane is composed of phospholipid bilayer. Okay, so you have to remember that one. And then for triglycerides, so they are usually used as storage to store energy. Okay, it is to store energy. Okay, or it can function as insulator. And then you have steroids. Okay, so steroids, one example of steroids is cholesterol. So cholesterol, one of the place where you can find cholesterol, it is embedded in the plasma membrane, which function to maintain the fluidity of the membrane. Okay, and then cholesterol also function as the precursor molecule, the initial molecule to synthesize steroid hormones, such as for example estrogen or progesterone or testosterone. Okay, so those are sex hormones that are synthesized, okay, from the precursor molecule of cholesterol. Okay. And then the next one, structure and components of nucleic acids. So for nucleic acids, there are two types, okay, which is DNA and also RNA. So as you know, DNA are found in the nucleus, okay. So they are found in the nucleus. So your genome, your genetic makeup is the DNA molecule. So it stores your genetic information, all your genetic information, all the organism genetic information, and from that, so from the many information stored in the nucleus, for example, there are one time that a certain gene within that DNA needs to be expressed. For example, the gene that is used to produce insulin, for example, the hormone insulin. Okay, the hormone insulin is made up of protein. Okay, so the synthesis of this protein occurs in the cytoplasm. So how come the instruction from the nucleus, okay, from that many DNA molecule, okay, you have a gene that codes for the synthesis of insulin. So how come that information within that DNA be used, okay, to synthesize insulin within the cytoplasm. So any synthesis of protein has to be occurred inside cytoplasm. Okay, so how come instruction within the nucleus can be used to synthesize protein within the cytoplasm? Okay, through the synthesis of RNA. Okay, so RNA will copy certain information from a certain gene within the DNA. So it copies into a smaller molecule. Okay, if you know that DNA is double-stranded, okay, it is a large molecule. It is double-stranded, helical in structure. So through the synthesis of RNA, so RNA will copy that small instruction from the DNA, okay, into a single strand polynucleotides. Okay, so it becomes RNA. So this RNA will migrate out of the nucleus through nuclear pore, okay, and then enters into the cytoplasm. Okay, so within that cytoplasm, it will find the organelle what do you call it, ribosome. Okay, so it will find the organelle ribosome. So as you know, the organelle ribosome is responsible to synthesize protein. So the RNA will go to a ribosome, and then from there it will start to synthesize the protein molecule. In this case, as I give you an example, which is insulin. So basically, in order to synthesize the insulin, has to occur within the cell of pancreas. Okay, so bukan semua gene akan expresskan semua instruction tu kan. So kalau if it involves a cell within, for example, pancreas, okay, so it only expresses gene to synthesize insulin or glucagon, for example. Bergantung pada fungsi organ tu lah kan. So fungsi organ tu untuk apa? So dia akan based on the it use only instruction from the DNA that determines the function of that organ. Okay, so this one, basically the detailed process of gene expression we are going to look at in semester 2, okay, which is in the chapter of genetics. Okay, so ini kita akan roughly tengok lah what is DNA. We are going to understand what is DNA, what is RNA. So RNA, there are basically 3 types of RNA. You have the mRNA, okay, rRNA, and also tRNA. What is M? M stands for messenger RNA. Tadilah it copies the information from the DNA. So it becomes mRNA, okay, messenger RNA that goes into the cytoplasm. And then tRNA. What is tRNA? Transfer RNA. Okay, it transfer what? It transfer amino acid that are found in the cytoplasm of cell. Okay, so the tRNA will bring specific amino acid to the ribosome in order to synthesize the specific proteins based on the instruction found in the RNA. Okay, so what is rRNA? So rRNA is ribosomal RNA. So ribosomal RNA is the component that composed the ribosome molecule. Okay, the ribosome molecule is composed of rRNA, ribosomal RNA, and also proteins combined together. Okay. Okay, so that is basically the the overall learning outcome, learning objectives, okay, of this chapter. So, I'm going to stop here. Okay, so for the next slide, I am going to show you a video from my channel of on this subtopic, which is until I think just before water, if I'm not mistaken, until here. Kita tengok dia sampai mana dia stop. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing. So
going to look at chapter 1, which is on macromolecules. In this chapter, we are going to cover on the first subtopic, which is on functional group. In this subtopic, we are going to look at 7 different functional groups, and then we are going to look at the different types of chemical bonds. The second subtopic will be on water. We are going to look at the structure and the properties of water, and the last one will be nucleic acids. The four most important macromolecules are proteins, DNA, carbohydrates, and lipids. Okay, so all these macromolecules contain mainly of carbon atoms, which are bonded to other atoms such as hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, and phosphorus atom. Okay, so what are atoms? Okay, atoms are the smallest unit of matter, and as for elements, it is substance that cannot be broken down to other substances by chemical reactions. And then the next one is molecules. So molecules are groups of atoms. So the most common molecules and which is crucial to life is water. Okay. So as you can see from this slide here, so this is the molecular formula of a water molecule. Okay. So water molecule is composed of hydrogen, okay, two atoms of hydrogen and one atoms of oxygen. So this is actually an oxygen atom, okay, not a zero, okay, as you see from the slide. Okay, so another crucial molecule to life is oxygen molecule. Okay, so you need oxygen for cell to undergo cellular respiration. And in the process of cellular respiration, oxygen is needed as the last electron acceptor in order for the cell to be able to generate ATP molecule, okay, which is energy for cell to do work, okay, a form of energy for cell to do work. And then the next definition that you have to know is compounds. So what are compounds? It is substance consisting of more than one types of element, so such as water. Okay, so water, it is composed of two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom. Okay, so there you see two different types of elements, hydrogen and oxygen. Another one is carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide consists of one oxygen atom and two oxygen molecule. So oxygen, carbon dioxide, okay, it is the byproduct of cellular respiration, right? And then carbon dioxide also, it is a crucial, reactant in the process of photosynthesis, where plant will use the carbon dioxide to produce sugar at the end of the process. Okay, sugar is produced through photosynthesis. Okay.
And then these atoms are held together by chemical bonds. Okay, so you have different types of chemical bonds, and especially the bonds that exist, okay, within atoms of a molecule, such as atoms between oxygen and hydrogen within a water molecule. You have covalent bond. Okay, and then as you can see here from the notes, okay, you have sodium chloride. Okay, sodium chloride, the bond between the sodium ion and also the chloride ion, you will have ionic bonds. Okay, ionic bonds. In this slide is the structure of an atom. Okay, so an atom, it consists of a nucleus. Okay, a nucleus at the center. So at the center of a nucleus here, okay, you see is the it consists of protons and also neutrons. Okay, neutrons is the positive charge which determines the element. Okay, and then the neutrons which will have no charge. Okay, and on the outside you have the electrons which have negative charge, which form a negative cloud and determines the chemical behavior of the element. So it says here a mass number of elements is equal to the number of protons and neutrons number, and then the atomic number of elements is proton number. Okay. In this table, it shows you the different types of bonds that exist between atoms within a molecule, or atoms between different molecules. Okay, so the first bond is the covalent bond. Okay, so the covalent bond is a strong bond. Okay, so it involves sharing of electron pairs between atoms in a molecule. Okay, so for example, the molecule of hydrogen and oxygen within a water molecule. So the hydrogen and the oxygen atom will share electrons to form the covalent bond between the hydrogen and the oxygen atom within the water molecule. Okay, so the next bond is a non-covalent bonds. Okay, so there are four types of non-covalent bond. The first one is ionic bond. So ionic bond, it involves attraction of opposite charges and still within atom in a molecule. So for example, for this one is, okay, the ionic bond that form between the sodium ion and the chloride ion. Okay, so the sodium ion will have positive charge and the chloride ion will have the negative charge. So the positive and the negative charge will attract each other in the formation of ionic bond, okay, between the sodium and the chloride ion to form the sodium chloride salt. Okay, and then the next bond is the hydrogen bond. Okay, so it says here for hydrogen bond to form, it is formed between partially positive hydrogen atom of a molecule and partially negative atom of another molecule in polar covalent bond. Okay, so this bond the formation of hydrogen bonds are actually between atoms, okay, of different molecule, okay, of different molecule. So later we will see how hydrogen bonds are formed, okay, between two different water molecule, for example. Okay, so the next one is hydrophobic interaction or hydrophobic exclusion. So what is it? So it is a forcing of hydrophobic portion of molecule together when placed in water. Okay, so for example, you have phospholipid molecule. Okay, so phospholipid molecule in the structure of plasma membrane. Okay, or any membrane. Okay, so one phospholipid molecule, it consists of hydrophilic head. Okay, and this region we call it as the hydrophobic tail. Okay, so the hydrophobic tail is composed. It is composed of fatty acids, which are hydrocarbons. Okay, so hydrocarbons. The property of hydrocarbon is that it is non-polar. So when it is non-polar, it will not attract water molecule, and so therefore this region, the region of the hydrophobic tail of one phospholipid molecule will attract the hydrophobic tail of another phospholipid molecule to form the hydrophobic interaction. Okay, so this is the hydrophobic interaction, okay, that exists, okay, between the phospholipid molecule. Okay, between the phospholipid molecules that form the phospholipid bilayer of membranes. So this region will exclude water. Okay, it will isolate. It will be isolated from water, and the hydrophobic tail will face the aqueous environment outside, okay, such as the extracellular fluid outside of the cell, and this side will face the cytoplasmic, okay, cytoplasmic region of a cell. Okay, so the next interaction is van der Waals interaction. So it is a weak attraction between atoms due to opposite polarized electron clouds. Okay, so basically covalent bond is the most strongest bond, okay, so because it exists between atom within a molecule, and then as you go down, you have the weak bonds. Okay, so hydrogen bonds, hydrophobic interaction, van der Waals interaction are example of weak bond. If the bond exists individually, it will be weak, but if they exist in large amount, it will form quite a strong interaction. Okay, the first chemical bond is the covalent bond. So first you have to understand what is valence shell. So valence shell is the outermost orbit of an atom. So within the outermost orbit of an atom, you will have the valence electron. Okay, so usually the electrons on the valence shell, they will have to satisfy the octet rule. So you will have to, the outer shell will have to either have 2 electrons or 8 electrons. Okay, so for a covalent bond to form, so it involves 2 atoms, okay, within a molecule to share valence electron, a pair of valence electrons that are shared between atoms within a molecule. So the results of a covalent bond is that it causes no net charge. It means that the atom, the molecule will have no charge. It will satisfy the octet rule, and then there will be no unpaired electrons. Okay, and the strength of a covalent bond depends on the number of shared electrons. So the more electrons are shared, the stronger the covalent bond. In this diagram, it shows you how a covalent bond is formed between hydrogen atoms within a hydrogen molecule. Okay, one hydrogen molecule will have 2 hydrogen atoms that are bonded to one another through the formation of a covalent bond. Okay, so for each of the hydrogen atom here, okay, so it will have 1 electron. Okay, 1 electron. So in each hydrogen atom, the single electron is held in its orbital by its attraction to the proton in the nucleus. So in the nucleus, okay, of the hydrogen atom, you will have 1 proton. So the electron, okay, on the valence shell will be attracted to its proton. So when 2 hydrogen atoms approach each other, the electron of each atom is also attracted to the proton in the other nucleus. Okay, so when two hydrogen atoms are put near to one another, so the electron of this hydrogen atom, okay, will be attracted to the proton of the next, okay, or the hydrogen atom that is near to it. Okay, so this is the first hydrogen atom. So this is the second hydrogen atom. So the electron of the first hydrogen atom will be attracted to the proton of hydrogen atom 2, and the electron of hydrogen atom 2 is attracted to the proton of hydrogen atom 1. Okay, so the two hydrogen atom here, okay, the two hydrogen atoms here will share electrons. Okay, so the two electrons become shared in a covalent bond, forming an hydrogen molecule. So this will satisfy the octet rule in each hydrogen atom. So the hydrogen atom both will share equal number of electron. Okay, 2 electrons. In this table, it shows you 4 different kinds of molecule and how covalent bonds are formed between atoms within the molecule. So the first molecule here, you have the hydrogen molecule. Okay, so hydrogen molecule is formed when two hydrogen atoms share one pair of electrons. So as you can see, two hydrogen atoms share one pair of electrons to form a single covalent bond. The next molecule is oxygen molecule. So oxygen molecule is formed when two oxygen atoms share two pairs of electrons to form a double bond. So for one oxygen molecule, it shares two pairs of electron, two pairs of electron in order to satisfy the octet rule. So each of the oxygen atom here now complete, okay, has a complete of 8 valent electron. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it has to satisfy the octet rule. Okay. So for the third molecule is water molecule. So a water molecule is formed when two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom are joined by a single bond. Okay, one single bond. So there are actually two single bonds that are formed between two hydrogen atom and one oxygen molecule. Okay, so the next molecule is methane. Methane, the molecular formula is CH4. Okay, so as you know, one carbon atom will have 4 valence electron. So in order to satisfy the octet rule, so this one carbon atom will have to share, okay, electron with another 4 hydrogen atom. Okay, with another 4 hydrogen atoms. Okay, so this will form the methane. Okay, so now the carbon and the 4 hydrogen atoms now satisfy the octet rule. Okay, so methane is actually a non-polar molecule, but as for water, it is actually a polar molecule. Okay, so you have to know that these facts. Okay, a water molecule is a polar molecule because the oxygen, okay, will have two partial negative charge, and hydrogen will have partial positive charge. Okay, so as methane, there will be no charge or partial charge form in the methane structure or molecule. Okay, electronegativity. So what is electronegativity? It is an atom's affinity or attraction for electrons of a covalent bond. So for example here, oxygen atom, as you know, it has 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 valence electron. Okay, so it means that the oxygen atom will the electrons of the oxygen atom will be attracted more to the proton, okay, at the center. Okay, because the more electrons the atom has, the more electronegative the atom is. Okay, so compared to, for example, hydrogen atom. So hydrogen atom has one valence electron. Okay, so it means that this one valence electron within the hydrogen atom will be attracted to its proton. So hydrogen atom will be less electronegative compared to the oxygen atom. Okay, so the more electronegative an atom is, the more strongly it pulls shared electron towards itself. Okay, So it means that oxygen will pull electron more towards itself. So there are two types of covalent bonds. Okay, the first covalent bond here is the non-polar covalent bond, and the second type is polar covalent bond. So for a non-polar covalent bond, it is a covalent bond between two atoms of the same element where the electrons are shared equally because the two atoms have the same electronegativity. Okay, so for example, two hydrogen atoms share one pair of electrons in a hydrogen molecule. So both atoms have the same electronegativity. So this hydrogen atom will pull electron toward itself, and this hydrogen atom will pull electron towards itself. Okay, so both of the hydrogen atoms will have the same electronegativity. Okay, so they will share equal, okay, equal amount of electron, equal sharing of electrons. The next type of covalent bond is polar covalent bond. So for polar covalent bond, it is formed when an atom is bonded to a more electronegative atom. The electrons of the bond are not shared equally. Okay, so for example, okay, example of more electronegative atom is oxygen. Okay, so oxygen will have 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 valence electron, okay, compared to hydrogen atom. So hydrogen atom will have 1 valence electron. So oxygen here is more electronegative compared to the hydrogen atom here, where it has only 1 electron. So such bond vary in their polarity. So for example, okay, in a water molecule, okay, so which consists of two hydrogen atom bonded to one oxygen atom. Okay, so you have one covalent bond here and another covalent bond here. So the sharing between the electron of oxygen and the electron of hydrogen, it causes the electron of the hydrogen to be pulled, okay, more towards the oxygen. The electron of hydrogen here is pulled more towards the oxygen atom. So this is because the oxygen atom is more electronegative. Why? Because the oxygen atom will have more electron that is pulled, okay, more towards the oxygen atom due to it has more proton. Okay, it has more proton. So such bonds vary in their polarity. So for example, the bond between the oxygen and two hydrogen atoms of water molecule are quite polar. So the oxygen is more electronegative, which attracts shared electron more strongly than hydrogen atom. Okay, so this involves unequal sharing of electrons. Okay, so that is polar covalent bond. It causes, okay, in the water molecule, because oxygen will pull more electron towards itself, so it has partial, okay, two partial negative charge. Because the electron of hydrogen is pulled towards the oxygen, so the hydrogen will have partial positive charge. Okay, so in this diagram, it shows you two different molecules. So the first one here is water molecule, and the second one here is ethane. Okay, ethane is an example of hydrocarbon. It is composed of carbon and hydrogen. So for this one, water molecule is composed of one oxygen bonded to two hydrogen. Okay, so the hydrogen atom each will have partial positive charge, and as for oxygen, it has two partial negative charge. Okay, so electron have a negative charge and are pulled toward oxygen in a water molecule. So the shared electron, okay, are pulled more towards the oxygen because oxygen is a more electronegative atom compared to the oxygen. Okay, so as for the molecule of ethane, okay, which is a non-polar molecule. So the individual bond of ethane are much less polar because the electronegativities of carbon are and hydrogen are similar. Okay, similar. So carbon will share equal amount of electron in the ethane molecule. So there will be no charge form, and the ethane molecule is non-polar. So because it involves equal sharing of electrons. The electronegativities of carbon and hydrogen are similar. The second chemical bond is ionic bond. So ionic bond is formed by the attraction of oppositely charged ions. So it involves the attraction between cation and anion. Example of cation is sodium ion. Sodium ion which have one positive charge, and example of anion is chloride ion. So cation will have positive charge and anion will have negative charge. So the attraction between the cation and anions which have opposite charges will attract each other to form the ionic bonds. The next chemical bond is ionic bond. So in this diagram, it shows you the formation of ionic bond between sodium ion and chloride ion. For sodium atom, it has one valence electron. So it causes the sodium atom to lose one electron and become sodium ion, Na+. So the chlorine atom will have 7 valence electron, so it has to satisfy the octet rule by gaining an electron. So when chlorine atom gains an electron, it becomes chloride ion, Cl negative. So now sodium is a cation and chloride ion is an anion. So it causes the formation of ionic bond to form between the oppositely charged ions. So Na plus and Cl negative. So opposite charges attract so that sodium ion and chloride ion remain associated as an ionic compound, NaCl, which is table salt. Compounds formed by ionic bonds are called ionic compound or salt. Salt are often found in nature as crystal. In a dry crystal, the ionic bonds are very strong, but if dissolved in water, the ionic bonds are much weaker. So electrical attraction of water molecules can disrupt forces holding ions together. So this is due to the property of water, where water molecule, it is polar. So when water molecule is polar, as you know, this is water molecule. The oxygen region will have partial negative charge, and the hydrogen region will have partial positive charge. So because water molecule will have both partial negative and partial positive charge, it will attract respectively the ion of the salt. So it means that when you put salt in water, it causes the salt to dissolve. Because the negative region of water, which is the oxygen region here, will be attracted to the sodium ion, and the positive region of water, which is the hydrogen atom here, will be attracted to the chloride ion. So this will cause the salt to dissolve in water. So the next chemical bond is hydrogen bond. So a hydrogen bond is actually a weak chemical bond. So if the hydrogen bond exists alone, so it is a weak bond. But if you have so many of the hydrogen bond, it can form a strong interaction. So a hydrogen bond is formed when a hydrogen atom is covalently bonded to an electronegative atom, such as oxygen. And the hydrogen atom has a partial positive charge that allows it to be attracted to a different electronegative atom nearby. So for example, here you have a water molecule, oxygen and hydrogen, oxygen and 2 hydrogen atoms. So nearby you have another molecule, which is ammonia, NH3. So the nitrogen of ammonia will have partial negative charge. And the hydrogen atom okay, of a water molecule will have a partial positive charge. A hydrogen bond is formed when the partial charge of hydrogen atom of one molecule is attracted to the partial, okay, negative charge region of another water molecule. In this case is the partial charge the partial negative charge of nitrogen, of ammonia. Okay, so you will form hydrogen bond. So remember, whenever you draw a hydrogen bond, you have to draw using dotted line. You cannot draw using a straight line. If you draw using a straight line, okay, so it indicates that it is not a hydrogen bond, but instead it is a covalent bond. Okay, so remember, a covalent bond is only exists between atoms within a molecule, not atoms within different molecule. Okay. So therefore, here it says, therefore, attraction between a hydrogen atom and an electronegative atom, in this case is nitrogen, is called a hydrogen bond. So hydrogen has a partial positive charge, and whereas oxygen and nitrogen will have a partial negative charge. So the next chemical bond is hydrophobic interaction. So hydrophobic interaction is a weak chemical bond. Okay, it's a weak chemical interaction which causes when molecules do not mix with water, and which causes the molecule to be excluded from water. Okay. So interaction between a non-polar molecule in water, which is the water is actually a polar solvent. Okay, so for example, here you have fats. Okay, fats molecule. So as you know, fat will not mix with water. Okay, so fat will attract each other to form hydrophobic interaction. Okay, so the fat will exclude themselves from water. Okay, it does not like water. It will not mix with water. So in this case here, in this diagram, it shows you a portion of a protein. Okay, so protein, as you know, it is made up of amino acids. Okay, amino acids. So each of the amino acid will have R group or side chain. Okay, so in this case, this amino acid will have a hydrophobic group. Okay, a hydrophobic region as its side chain. So it composed of carbon and hydrogen, carbon and hydrogen. So it has non-polar side chain. Okay, and this on this region you have another amino acid with non-polar side chain. So the non-polar region of the amino acid will attract each other to form hydrophobic interaction. So this region where you form where there is formation of hydrophobic interaction, it will exclude itself, okay, from the surrounding aqueous solution. So outside here you have the aqueous solution. These two amino acids will exclude themselves from water because they have non-polar side chain. Okay. The next chemical bond is van der Waals interaction. So van der Waals interactions are weak attractions between molecules or parts of molecules that result from transient local or impermanent local partial charges. So van der Waals interactions are usually they are weak. If they exist individually, they are weak and occur when atoms and molecules are very close together. But when many such interactions occur simultaneously, they can be powerful. So in this diagram, for example, it gives you two molecules of hydrogen. Okay, so when this molecule, hydrogen molecule exists alone, okay, there is no electronegativity difference between the two hydrogen atoms, okay, here. So they are non-polar and do not have a dipole. But when you put two molecule hydrogen together, okay, next to each other, so a dipole is induced because electrons rearrange themselves. Okay, so the electrons within the electron cloud, when you put these two molecules together, when you put these two hydrogen molecules together, it causes the electron in the electron cloud to move. Okay, so when you when the electron cloud moves, you will induce charge, okay, partial charges to be formed, okay, and these partial charges that are formed within the hydrogen molecule will cause van der Waals interactions.
Carbohydrates, okay, carbohydrates. Okay, so far by watching that video, my explanation on uh, chemical bonds. Okay, do you understand, or is it okay? Did you before the class watch the video from the acid biology channel to make sure that you are satisfied?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So after you have watched the video from Acid Biology channel, and after I've showed you the video of my explanation on chemical bonds, do you understand the whole concept of the different types of chemical bonds that um, that are found in your notes? If you notice, okay, your notes and my notes is a little bit different. Okay, my note is more elaborated as compared to your notes. So if you found that there's some information missing from your notes, you have to jot down from what I've explained in the video. Sama ke tak? Lain kan?
Right.
Tapi tak ada, semua lain tu adalah elaboration. Kan elaboration dia, mine is more elaborated. Sebab semua information tu adalah daripada dalam buku. Buku yang saya guna untuk saya rujuk yang tu adalah buku Campbell tak silap. Macam tu. Okay. So far do you have any question? Content sama. Kan content sama, cuma explanation from my explanation it is more elaborated. Okay. So do you have any question on chemical bonds? Saya nak cari lagi satu video dan saya pergi channel ni. Which is on the so awal-awal chapter macromolecule ni is, if you see the content, it is more on the chemistry side. Okay. Chemical bonds. Nak lupa tu. Okay, so if there's no question, I'm going to proceed with the next part. Water tak? never mind. Okay. Okay, so again, this one is again on the chemistry side. Okay, so we just go through the slide briefly. Okay, so the next one is isomer. Okay, isomers. Okay, dah tadi. Okay, chemical reaction first. Okay, so chemical reaction, which is the formation or breaking of chemical bonds. Okay, between the atoms within the molecule. Okay, so in the chemical reaction, so chemical bonds will break and there's formation of new bonds. Okay, so you have the reactants, and then you have the product. So in this case, is the reaction between two hydrogen molecules and one oxygen molecule. Sekejap ya. Okay, so these are the two reactants involved in the reaction. For example, a simple chemical reaction shown here in the diagram. The chemical reaction will break bonds. Okay, so it break bonds between the hydrogen atoms in that hydrogen molecule, and the oxygen atom within this oxygen molecule will also break and form new bonds. So that is chemical reaction. You break bonds, and there's formation of new bonds to produce the products. Okay. So next one is isomers. So this is the definition for isomers, which is compounds with the same molecular formula but different structures and properties. So this is isomers. For example, the molecules of glucose and fructose, for example, there are actually isomers. Okay, they have same molecular formula but different structure. So because they have different structure, they have different properties. Okay. So you have a structural isomer, the first type of isomer. So what is a structural isomer? They have different covalent arrangement of the atoms. So as you can see here, these two molecule pentene and also two methyl butane. So they have the same molecular formula, but the arrangement of the molecule of the atoms within the molecule is different. Okay, so this is pentene. The carbon are in a straight line here. So for the two methyl butane, the arrangement of the atoms is like this. So at carbon number 2, it has the methyl group here. Okay, so because the arrangement is different, okay, so it gives you different properties for these two molecules. Okay. So next one is cis trans isomers. Okay, so for cis trans isomers, they have the same covalent arrangement but differ in spatial arrangement. So you have two types, which is cis isomers and also trans isomers. Cis isomers, the two axes are on the same side. So this is the carbon that is bonded by two double bond. Okay, so these two axes, it stands for a functional group. Okay, so this one you can have a hydroxyl group, or you can have other different types of functional group here. So these two functional group, they are the same. So for cis, they are on the same side. Okay. So as for this one, for the trans isomers, they are on the opposite side. Okay, for example, here you can place a hydroxyl group here. Okay, so this one is also a hydroxyl group. Okay, so that is trans isomers opposite side. Cis isomers, they are on the same side. Okay. Okay, so next is enantiomers. So enantiomers are isomers that are mirror images of each other. Okay, mirror images of each other. Differ in spatial arrangement around an asymmetric carbon. So this is the asymmetric carbon. So they are this when you put the two molecule together, they mirror each other. Okay, so you have the L isomer and D isomer. Okay, it is like your left and right hands. Can so if you put them against each other, so they mirror each other. So yang ini itulah dia. So nampakkan kat sini. So you have the, on this side you have the functional group amino group. So this is the amino group, this is the amino group. Okay, so they mirror each other. Okay, this one is a carboxyl group on the top here. So this is the asymmetric carbon. Okay. Okay, so next one is the functional groups. So these are the 7 functional groups that we are going to look at. It is important for you to know the structure, okay, the structure of each of the functional group. You have to know, you have to remember how to draw it. You have to know the properties for each one. Okay, so for you have the first one, which is hydroxyl. Okay, so hydroxyl group is OH. Okay, OH. So they are usually found in a molecule, such as in alcohol, for example, or even water molecule. It has the hydroxyl group OH, can. Okay, and then you have the carbonyl group, okay, CO. You have the carboxyl group, COOH. You have the amino group, NH2. You have the sulfhydryl group. Sulfhydryl group is similar to a hydroxyl group. Hydroxyl is OH, can. So this one is SH, okay, sulfhydryl group. So you have the phosphate group, PO4, okay, and then you have the methyl group, which is CH3, okay. So these these are the diagram that are taken from the Campbell book from Pearson. Okay. So the first one is the hydroxyl group. Okay, hydroxyl group, as you know, the structure is OH. Okay, OH. So name of the compound is alcohol. So their specific name usually ends in OL. Okay. So example is ethanol. So the alcohol present in our alcoholic beverage. Okay, so OH here. Okay, so the property of the hydroxy group, it is polar. So it means that the molecule that has the hydroxy group, that it causes the molecule to be polar. Okay, it causes the molecule having the hydroxy group to be polar. Okay, so polar. So it is polar as a result of electrons spreading more times near the electronegative oxygen atom. Tadi kita dah belajar kan? So between oxygen atom and hydrogen atom, oxygen atom is more electronegative because it has more electron attract. Okay, attracts to the proton in the nucleus of the atom. Okay, so the electron of the hydrogen is also attracted to the proton of the oxygen. So that's why tadi kalau kita tengok water tadi kan, because it attracts electron from the hydrogen atom, it causes the oxygen molecule to have a partial negative charge there. Partial negative charge. Kita belajar kan, kalau negatif tu maksudnya dia terima extra electron. Kalau positive charge tu maksudnya dia hilang satu electron. Electron kan bercharge negatif kan. So bila dia hilang, dia jadi more positif lah. Okay, so that is simple chemistry for you, concept. Okay, simple chemistry concept. Okay. Ada background suara kat situ. Okay. Dua-dua tengah mengajar juga sekarang ni. So anak-anak terbiar sekejap. Okay. So okay, saya nak kena dapatkan concentration saya balik. Okay. So it's polar as a result of electrons spreading more times near the electronegative oxygen atom. Okay, so that's why it causes the molecule having the hydroxy group to be polar. Okay, because the presence of oxygen atom that is more electronegative. So can form hydrogen bonds with water molecules, helping dissolve organic compounds such as sugar. Can form hydrogen bonds with water molecule. So water molecule tadi kita tengok dia. Mana tadi saya punya pen? Okay. Uh, what is okay. Kat sini, okay. Kat sini kan OH ni partial positive charge. Sorry, partial negative charge. Partial negative partial positive charge. Okay. So the partial positive charge of hydrogen here, okay, of the hydroxyl will attract to oxygen of water molecule here. Okay, so water molecule dia ada partial negative charge. Okay, so that is polarity. Okay, the attraction between the partial negative charge of oxygen and the partial positive charge of hydrogen atoms of that molecule. Okay, so this partial charge is really important. Why? Because as we are going to see later in the subtopic water, uh, it contributes to the ability of polar molecule, especially water, to be able to function as solvent. Okay, as solvent, it causes molecule to be able to be dissolved in that solution. Okay, in that solution. Okay. Okay, so next is carbonyl. Okay, so carbonyl, as you can see, the structure is CO2. Can see C double bond O. So bukan CO2, C double bond O. Okay, so C double bond O. So you have two types of molecule, two types of compound or class of compound. Okay, you can classify them based on the position of the carbonyl group within that molecule. Okay, so you have, if the compound, we call it as the ketone. So the carbonyl group is located within the carbon skeleton. Okay, within the carbon skeleton. So as you can see, this is acetone. Okay, so acetone, it has 3 carbon. So the carbonyl group will be located at within the molecule. So ketone. Okay, so ketone, the carbonyl group will be located in the middle, or within the molecule. So a ketone. So as for aldehyde, if the carbonyl group is at the end, okay, highlight that. So it is at the end of the carbon skeleton. As you can see, propanol here is an example of aldehyde. So it is located at the end of the molecule. So at the end or at the beginning, like usually for a molecule that has the functional group, okay, so the carbon that has the functional group is considered as carbon number 1. Ini our punya chemistry ya. So the carbon that has the functional group is considered as carbon number 1. So this is carbon number 2. This is carbon number 3. Okay, so aldehyde is the carbonyl group is at the end. Maksudnya dekat hujung lah, kat pangkal, kat carbon number 1. Okay, dekat within. So a ketone and an aldehyde may be structural isomers. So tengok they have same molecular formula but different structure. Okay, structurally they are different. Okay, with different properties because the arrangement of the molecule, the arrangement of the atom within the molecule is different. Okay, so as is the case of the acetone and propanol. So acetone and propanol, as you can see in the picture, they have same molecular formula, 3 carbon kan, 1 oxygen, 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 6 hydrogen atom. Okay, so same molecular formula but different arrangement of atoms. So because the position of the carbonyl group is different, so it gives a different property to that two molecule. So these two groups are also found in sugars, giving rise to 2 major groups of sugars. Okay, so you can classify sugar, the monomer for sugar, monomers, okay, as aldose or ketoses. Okay, so aldose or ketoses. Okay, so aldose, it contains aldehyde lah, kan? So aldehyde, and also kalau ketose, sekejap. Aldose, ketose. Okay, aldose, ketose. Aldoses, ketoses. So aldoses, C double bond O dekat carbon number 1, okay, ataupun at the end of the molecule. So ketosis, the C double bond O is located in the middle of the molecule or within the molecule. So another, ini cara yang senang lah untuk saya ingat kan. So kalau ketos kan, ketos kat tengah, ketos kat tengah, KT kan kat tengah within. Okay. Kalau aldose awal, dekat awal atau dekat akhir molekul tu, usually carbon number 1 lah. Okay, so that's how you that's how I easily memorize it. Okay, so aldose at the beginning of the molecule at carbon number 1. For ketos, it is within the molecule. Okay, next is carboxyl. So carboxyl C double bond O OH. Okay, so name of the compound can be carboxylic acid or organic acid. So one of the molecule that we are going to look at that will contain carboxyl group is amino acid. Okay, that's why. So as you know, amino acid, it is the monomer for protein. So why is it the molecule, we call it as amino acid? Because within the molecule, it has the carboxyl group, and on the other end of that molecule, it also has another functional group, which is amino group. So kalau amino acid ni, molecule dia a bit special. It has both acid and basic functional group. Okay. So another molecule that has the carboxyl group is the that it can be found within a lipid molecule. Okay, triglyceride, within a triglyceride. Okay. So next, okay, so acetic acid, okay, which gives vinegar its sour taste. Okay, so this is one example of a molecule having a carboxyl group. So its property, as the name applies, carboxylic acid, it is acidic. Acidic, why? Because if the solution, if the compound is within they are in aqueous solution, they are dissolved inside water, for example. So the OH atom here, okay, the OH part of the molecule here will dissociate. It will be ionized. Okay, so it becomes, okay, as I said, Rosina C double bond OH negative. Okay, sebab apa? Sebab dia release hydrogen ion into the surrounding. So the more hydrogen ion released into the surrounding, it causes the solution to be acidic. Kan awak belajar kan, the more acidic the pH is of that solution, because due to the presence of more hydrogen ion within that solution, which is released by this carboxyl group. Okay. Macam ni lah. So as the acetic acid OH here will be ionized, okay, releasing hydrogen ion into the aqueous solution. So okay, so it says here has acidic properties because the covalent bond between oxygen and hydrogen is so polar. For example, this in this reaction here. Okay, so found in cell in the ionized form with a charge of negative 1 and called as carboxylate ion. Here specifically the acetate ion. So from acetic acid, okay, so acetic acid dia tak ada charge lagi. Okay, so when it is ionized, it becomes negatively charged. Okay, again, as carboxyl group, it is polar. Kalau if you look at carboxyl group is polar. This one, if I'm not mistaken, it is also polar. Okay, sebab oxygen is more electronegative. Okay, this one is polar, obviously lah. OH is polar. Okay, so next one is amine. Okay, so amines, NH2. Okay, NH2. Okay, so ini amino group. The functional group is amino group. The compound, we call it as amine. Okay, so one of the molecule that has an amino group, as I said before, is amino acid. Okay, amino acid. So amino acid structure dia, kalau saya boleh draw balik, ini functional group. OH, nitrogen, H. Okay. Saya rasa ada satu karbon tertinggal ni. Sekejap ya. Kita check balik structure amino acid. Betul lah. Okay, so dia ni. Ni. Tengok dia ada dia ada carboxyl group tadi. Untuk yang ni carboxyl group, dia ada amino group. This one is the functional side chain. We call it a side chain. Okay, ini memang fix kat sini. H ni. Okay. So you have the carbon at the center of the molecule here. So one example of amino acid given here is glycine. Okay, so there are many amino acid, many other type of amino acids based on the side chain. As the one given here is glycine. So glycine, it is a simple amino acid where the side chain is only the hydrogen atom. Okay, so as you can see, it has the amino group here. Okay, so because it also has a carboxyl group here. Okay, so glycine is both an amine and a carboxylic acid compound, with both groups are called as amino acids. Okay, so because it has NH2 here in the structure, so it acts as a base. Okay, it can pick up hydrogen ion from the surrounding solution, such as water in living organism. So in an animal cell, animal cell, so you have here is the nucleus, here is the cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm is the surrounding is aqueous, aqueous solution in the cytoplasm. So the amino acid that are found abundant in the cytoplasm, can pick up hydrogen, ion. So it can act as pH buffer. Okay, it can act as pH buffer. Okay, it can pick up hydrogen ion from the surrounding water in living organism. So in the non-ionized form, dalam bentuk asal dia macam ni, NH2. But when it is in the ionized form, the nitrogen atom can accept. Okay, it can accept another hydrogen ion from the surrounding. So for example, if the surrounding solution is acidic, if the surrounding solution is acidic, the solution has more of the hydrogen ion, so it is acidic of pH, for example, pH 2, it has more hydrogen ion. So by having glycine or by having any other amino acid, so the amino acid can pick up the excess hydrogen ion here. Okay, so when the excess hydrogen ion is picked up by the amino acid, so it will increase the pH of the solution. Macam tu. Okay, so ionized with charge of 1+ under cellular conditions. Okay, so adalah keadaan-keadaan contoh-contoh yang mana amino acid ni bertindak sebagai pH buffer. Okay. Okay, so the next one is sulfhydryl. Tadi saya cakap sulfhydryl ni formula dia lebih kurang sama dengan OH kan? So kalau sulfhydryl, instead of O, it is replaced by sulfur. Okay, so it is maybe written as SH lah. Maksudnya the bond between the sulfhydryl, okay, and the rest of the molecule is between the sulfur and the rest of that molecule here. So bond tu mesti between sulfur and the molecule which is attached to it. Okay, Cysteine is another type of amino acid. So as you can see, kat sini kan structure dia ada carboxyl, ada amino. So cysteine, this is the side chain here. Ini yang R group tu. Okay, cysteine, it has CH2 SH. It has a sulfur. It has a sulfhydryl group within the side chain. So by having the sulfhydryl group within the side chain, it causes this cysteine molecule to be polar. It causes the molecule to be polar. So cysteine is an important sulfur-containing amino acid. So one of the place where you can find amino acid cysteine is in your hair. Okay, your hair contains amino acid cysteine. Okay, so it says here two sulfhydryl groups can react, forming a covalent bond with cross-linking helps stabilize protein structure. Okay, so it means that when you have two cysteine, okay, two cysteine, one cysteine and then another cysteine here, for example, okay, another cysteine. So the two cysteine of these two different amino acid, dia akan hilang hydrogen ion ni, dia akan hilang hydrogen atom ni, so it can form a bond between the two sulfur. Okay, a bond between the two sulfur, we call it as the disulfide bridge. Okay, cross-linking ni. Cross-linking, we call it as the disulfide bridge. Okay, so cross-linking of cysteine in hair proteins maintains the curliness or straightness of hair. So straight hair can be permanently curled by shaping it around a curler, then breaking and reforming the cross-linking bonds. Okay, so cysteine is one of the example of amino acid that can be found in your hair. Okay. So and then phosphate. So phosphate formula dia PO4 2 negative there. Okay. So ini the formation of bond is between the phosphate group and the rest of the molecule involved. Okay. So name of the compound is organic phosphate. Okay, so one example of molecule that has the phosphate group is phospholipid. Okay, so phospholipid will have phosphate group within it. Okay, so given here is glycerol phosphate. So in addition to taking part in many important chemical reaction in cell, glycerol phosphate provides the backbone of phospholipid. Nampak? Okay, the most prevalent molecule in cell membrane. Okay, so cell membrane is composed of phospholipid bilayer. Not just cell membrane, but although, as I mentioned before, membranes of organelles, membrane of nucleus, membrane of mitochondria, membrane of Golgi apparatus, other organelles that has membrane. The membrane is composed of phospholipid bilayer. Okay, so contributes negative charge to the molecule of it. Contributes negative charge to the molecule of which it is a part. Okay, so okay, so asalnya kalau awak tengok molekul ni PO4 2 negative kan, asalnya dia adalah dalam keadaan OH. Okay, OH ni OH asalnya. Tapi obviously these are molecules that are found in your body, for example. Okay, your body is in the aqueous condition. So when they are in aqueous solution, where you have water inside the aqueous solution, it causes this molecule having the phosphate group to be ionized. Okay, to be ionized. So ionized macam tadilah, macam kita tengok carboxyl group kan. So daripada OH dia jadi O tu akan release hydrogen ion into the surrounding, kan? Into the surrounding. Ada dua kat sini, satu, dua. So that's why dia punya formula when in the aqueous condition, it becomes PO4 2 negative. Okay, PO4 2 negative. Another molecule where you can find phosphate group is in the ATP molecule. Okay, adenosine triphosphate. Okay, that's why for ATP molecule, by releasing triphosphate kan, ada 3 phosphate. By releasing one of the phosphate, for example, it becomes ADP. Okay, and one inorganic phosphate released. So the reaction will produce energy. So this is the energy used by your body to carry out cellular activities. Okay, cellular activities such as, for example, active transport or the movement of organelle from one region to another region within the cell. Okay, so the last one is the methyl group. Last one. Okay, last one is a methyl group. Okay, so methylated compound. So the formula is CH3 here. Okay, CH3. So for methyl, it is non-polar. Okay, non-polar functional group. Okay, so molecule having this having this functional group, dia bergantung kepada functional group yang lain juga present kan. Tapi kalau dia ada methyl saja, it can cause the molecule to be a non-polar molecule. Okay, tapi in this case sebab dia ada ni lagi C double bond O, dia ada amino, so this one the molecule can be polar. Okay, so dia bergantunglah kepada berapa banyak methyl group in that molecule. Kalau macam tadi, sekejap. Kalau macam ni kan, mana tadi? Tak ada pula. Macam ni kan, ni. So ini adalah non-polar kan, non-polar ni, non-polar. Okay, non-polar ini yang inilah sebenarnya non-polar molecule. Consists of only high carbon and also hydrogen. Carbon hydrogen is a non-polar compound. Okay, we call it as hydrocarbon. Okay, so 5-methyl-cysteine is a component of DNA that has been modified by addition of methyl group, a component of DNA molecule, a component of DNA. Okay. So addition of methyl group to DNA or to molecules bound to DNA affects how the gene is expressed. Okay, arrangement of methyl groups in male and female sex hormone affects their shape and function. Okay, so if you add the presence of certain functional group within a molecule will determine its function, okay, its property and its function. Okay, so okay, so far do you have any questions? Okay, so hari ni kita tengok the overall of chapter 1 kan tadi, learning objectives. Okay, so by looking at the objectives, learning objectives of this chapter, you know what to expect. What you are going to learn kan. Kita dah tengok tadi chemical bonds, and then kita dah tengok yang baru ni adalah lepas tu kita tengok isomers, and then this one is the functional group. Okay, so the next one will be water. So lepas water kita akan ada tengok the four macromolecules. Okay, so that is within this chapter 1, which is macromolecule. So any questions?
Adam, mana nak tahu compound tu dia polar ke non-polar?
Kalau compound tu ada functional group yang mana atom dia lebih elektronegatif, macam oksigen. Ini awak punya chemistry, saya dah lupa dah apa jadual berkala tu kan. Tengok kalau oksigen dia punya valence elektron dia adalah 6 kan. So valence elektron 6 dia kena cukupkan 2 elektron lagi supaya jadi octet kan. Dia obey the octet rule tu. So any atom or molecule that has oxygen in it, it can cause the molecule to be more polar as it causes the molecule to have a more partial negative charge kat situ. Polar. Polar dia boleh attract another charge. Kalau macam contohnya kalau macam contohnya sodium chloride tadi kan, dia bukan dalam functional group tapi dia adalah dia ada charge, dia ada full charge kan, dia ada full charge sebab dia melibatkan kehilangan elektron. Tapi kalau oksigen tu dia tak melibatkan kehilangan elektron, dia share elektron tapi elektron of hydrogen is pulled more towards it. So it causes the hydroxyl group, for example, the functional group of a hydroxyl group to be more polar. Kalau carbonic group CO, C double bond O dan C double bond O, antara oksigen dengan karbon mana yang lagi elektronegatif?
Oksigen.
Ya.
Kan, so kalau kita tengokkan nota ni, ni nota saya kot, ni nota siapa? Nota saya. Okay, kalau amino acid kan, kita pergi jump kepada amino acid sekejap. So amino acid, you can classify the amino acid based on 4 groups. So the amino acid can either be non-polar, polar, acidic or basic. So how do you classify the molecule is based on what functional group are present in the side chain of the amino acid. Side chain yang R. Ini adalah molecular formula of amino acid. Awak nampak tadi yang saya draw, ada amino, ada carboxyl, ada side chain, ada H. Side chain ni yang menentukan sama ada polar ke, non-polar ke, acidic or basic. So, kalau macam contohnya polar kan, awak tengok side chain dia consists of hydrocarbon. Hydrocarbon ni kan mostly consists of carbon, hydrogen. Carbon, hydrogen. So hydrocarbon ni they are stable. Dia dah dalam keadaan stable. Dia interaction the bond between carbon and hydrogen here, dia dah stable. Faham tak? It has equal sharing of electrons. So dia dah stable ikatan dia, so tak ada formation of charge ataupun polar charge, polar negative or polar positive charge kat situ. So dia dah akan dalam stable. So dia adalah hydrocarbon, consists of carbon and hydrogen, dia dah stable. So that is non-polar. Tapi kalau polar kan, kalau polar awak tengok dia ada OH kat sini. Ada OH, ada sulfhydryl, ada amino, ada carbonyl, ada carbonyl, ada amino, ada hydroxyl. Awak nampak ada oksigen, sulfur, nitrogen kat sini. So those are atoms that are more electronegative compared to hydrogen ataupun carbon. So by having oxygen or sulfhydryl, it causes the formation of partial charges. When there is formation of partial charges kat sini, it causes the molecule to be polar, and if it is inside an aqueous solution, it can cause the molecule to be ionized atau to be ionized. Macam tu. Faham kan? Faham So kalau NH2, kalau dia dalam air, dia boleh jadi NH3 plus kat sini. Nampak Dia boleh jadi NH3 plus. Macam tu. Okay. Kalau ini, dia boleh attract another molecule that also has polar charges. Macam ni. Faham Boleh It depends on the atom within the molecule. Kalau hydrocarbon, they are usually non-polar. Okay, they are hydrophobic. The molecule does not attract or soluble in water. Tapi kalau polar, they are soluble in water. Okay, molecules that are polar, they are soluble in water. Okay. Boleh Faham ke?
Boleh.
So, sekejap saya nak buat attendance. Can you hear another voice teaching? Boleh dengar ke suara yang lain mengajar?
Boleh.
Boleh.
Kesian anak-anak saya tu biar. Sekejap ya. Itulah cabaran dia work from home. Sekejap. Kau ada kelas depan ni?
Ada.
Yes.
Ada.
Alright. Let's forget. Okay, so please fill up the form, and then after you fill up the form, then you can leave the class. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Okay.
Madam.
Okay.
Thank you,
Madam.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Okay, welcome.